So obviously we kind of know about what the current situation is between Lachlan Galvin and the West Tigers. And it seems like everybody's kind of said their piece on whose side essentially they're on. If they're on the side of Lachlan Galvin, if they're on the side of the West Tigers, or they're on the side of Isaac Moses. I don't think anyone's actually on the side of Isaac Moses. But this is really interesting about how this has become such a big story very quickly, with things ever changing. So we'll go for a brief overview and then talk about some of the big discussion points and then just try to figure out what we think will happen. Now, I'm going to try to play this as evenly down the middle as possible, keeping it to pretty much what's been said rather than my own opinion. I will sprinkle what I personally think a little bit throughout the video, but yeah, I'll indicate when that's so. Lachlan Galvin joined the West Tigers first grade side in 2024 for his debut NRL season and performed quite well despite the Tigers unfortunately finishing in the wooden spoon race again for a third year in a row. So much so, he would have been pretty much the favourite and guaranteed lock to get the Rookie of the Year, but unfortunately due to a suspension, he was ineligible. But ever since last year, there has been talks about Lachlan Galvin not really wanting to be at the Tigers, which has then sort of culminated in this contract extension offer that was being discussed this year, where the Tigers were ready to approach Lachlan Galvin with $1 million a year for 5 seasons. And then drama started regarding Lachlan Galvin's feelings towards current Tigers coach Benji Marshall, which in a statement where he essentially comes along with the idea of not wanting to stay at the Tigers past his contract ending at the end of 2026, essentially criticizing the coaching ability of Benji Marshall. As soon as that happened, it really hit the fan. This is when, at the point, Galvin's agent Isaac Moses was set to approach the club and give grievances as to why Galvin was not happy at the Tigers and being under coach Benji Marshall, but it was shut down by the Tigers CEO Shane Richardson. And somehow this conversation made it to the press. We don't know how this got through. It could have been someone working from the Tigers as a bit of a rat. It could have been Isaac Moses just trying to get the story up to eventually help Lachlan Galvin get out of this contract. To be completely honest, I feel like if I had to put money on it, it is probably Isaac Moses. And so with this news coming out, a massive shift happened in the club. Bearing in mind, the West Tigers had just come off defeating the Newcastle Knights 20-4 in a honestly pretty decent showing for the club. This is where we come into 2 of the West Tigers' recent new signings, Jerome Luai and Sunia Taruva. Both would end up making social media posts regarding the situation. Jerome Luai putting an Instagram story of I don't know what anime this is, I'll probably list it down here, saying team first, saying the team has a film of togetherness and we're going to keep going. However, Taruva's is a bit interesting. It is a picture of the locker of Lachlan Galvin at the West Tigers facilities, with the song being chose being Shane McMahon's theme song in WWE, which has these lyrics. Now, essentially, when all this thing sort of happened, all of the talking shows were basically trying to pick sides. And Greg Alexander saying that the claims that Galvin and his team were allegedly making about Benji Marshall as a coach was astounding. On Freddie and the 8th, both hosts thought it was disgusting of how this whole thing has happened. But you also have people going off at the West Tigers themselves for essentially allowing workplace bullying in regards to Lachlan Galvin, in turn with the Instagram posts. Which I do feel like could be the case because, let's face it, he's not the most popular guy at the moment. Like, for example, Galvin was given the opportunity to talk to the team about his reasons for wanting to leave his contract in 18 months. And the team kind of weren't having it from the get-go because they were kind of not happy. But I do feel like when it comes to Jerome Luai's post, obviously with the context it makes sense, but I don't think it's essentially bullying in my opinion. Taruva's is a bit less like subtle, but also I feel like the implication doesn't make much sense. Like, it's talking about money and it's like saying, oh, Lachlan Galvin wants to leave to get more money. But here's the thing. The Tigers were going to offer him $1 million a season. Like, realistically, who's going to give him more money than that? Like, that's a pretty good deal for a 19-year-old halfback who's only played 1 season. And also one thing that's important about the Sania Taruva post is that this wasn't made public. Posted to his close friends tab on Instagram, meaning someone leaked it. So I feel like at worst, it's a little bit mild. Now, a lot of Tigers fans are quite angry at Lachlan Galvin, which has obviously brought up the things of bullying, because let's be honest, rugby league fans, I guess in terms of social media, aren't the greatest of being cool, calm and collective. Which is getting to the point where the Rugby League Players Association is setting to step in and mediate to help protect Lachlan Galvin and his mental state. Now, in the lead up to the Tigers game against the Parramatta Eels on Easter Monday, Lachlan Galvin has been dropped. Benji Marshall approached the team and talked about his plan about essentially just knocking Lachlan Galvin down to New South Wales Cup. And they don't know what exactly was said, but it's kind of that this leadership group with the Tigers weren't exactly saying no. I know this is a little sidetracking, but a fair amount of people have also gone off on Jerome Luai and Sania Taruva in this situation for their social media posts, basically saying, well, you left the Panthers for more money to go join the Tigers, which is true in sort of like a basic look for it, in my opinion, but I think it's a bit different. It's not like Jerome Luai was kind of like, oh, I don't really want to play, I want to leave in a couple of years, and then come out and says, Ivan Cleary can't coach. Which obviously, if that happened, Penrith would have, I think, kind of done something quite similar to what the Tigers are doing, but also if he did say it, it'd be quite prophetic with how Penrith are currently going. Now, ahead of training of this game for Easter Monday, both Benji Marshall and Jerome Luai fronted the press as of recording today on the Thursday. And obviously, I wonder what the questions were about. Yeah, Benji Marshall reiterating that his players aren't bullies. He said that he was shocked about the announcement. Benji's also said, quote, let's just chill with all the shit that's coming his way about all the firestorm going off at Galvin. He also said that people think I can't coach anyway, coming off of 2024. And then you had also Jerome Luai saying, in response to the comment about Benji Marshall's coaching ability, saying, he's our coach, and if you disrespect him, then you're sort of disrespecting us as a team. I don't stand for that. Which obviously now makes it fully aware of what the context was of his social media post. Now, going into this, in terms of whether or not I think it's anyone's fault, I guess, I think every side kind of has points, but I want to talk about Isaac Moses here a little bit. So, there possibly very much might be a vendetta between him and Benji Marshall, because Isaac Moses previously was the player agent for John Bateman and David Clemmer, who obviously used to play for the Tigers. And one of the big reasons John Bateman left the Tigers is because he didn't like how Benji Marshall was giving preferential treatment to Lachlan Galvin, which is kind of interesting. And Moses is being like a little bit of one of those player agents who likes to like get involved with this sort of thing. And I think player agents are starting to get a little bit too out of control, in my opinion. I think there needs to be some form of like proper regulation to this. I know there's been talks by people about putting in like an actual like transfer window, which honestly, yeah, because it's kind of just a bit like the Wild West, like we all saw earlier with the whole Dylan Brown contract saga, because it was his player agent sort of like needing a little bit. He's just like, in Newcastle, you know, you want to sign him early, come on, pay the payout. Like, it's that type of thing. So it's like, yeah. So the big question is now coming from all this is what's going to happen with Lachlan Galvin's future. Now, obviously, he's going to be playing for the West Magpies in the New South Wales Cup, but what will happen? In my personal opinion, I feel like with this bullying sort of claim, I mean, there is like elements of bullying, but it's whether or not the Rugby League Players Association sees it as this and it gets taken to the ARL Commission. I think Lachlan Galvin will not be a Tigers player by the end of this season. I think before 2026 starts, he will not be at the Tigers. But who will he go to? Now, there was three clubs sort of in the main discussion point. You had the Manly Sea Eagles, the Canterbury Bulldogs, and the Parramatta Eels. Manly Sea Eagles have come out and said that they're not really interested. They're going to trust their own talent, like Anthony Seibold talked about it yesterday. The Bulldogs is because they have money, but then again, they do like offload content like their players, offload balls. And so for me, in my personal opinion, it has to be Parramatta is who he's going to. It just makes sense. There is also a family history with him at Parramatta. I feel like it's pretty easy. He's gonna go to Parramatta. Like, it's not shocking to me at all that he wants to go and join the Eagles. So yeah, that does about it. I think there's going to be definitely a lot more developments over the coming weeks regarding this situation. So that's all I've got for here. What do you guys think? What is your take on this situation? Let me know in the comments below. I'll try to stay split down the middle and getting my input there a little bit. So if you want to go off of me, that fair play. But yeah, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.